what is really important, and in your project or if you have discussions with people like about what the true meaning is and what they should do in their lives, one thing is to ask yourself, okay, how would you define success? And this all came up, and that's like an exercise I did with myself, and I wanted to share with you to see if you can maybe share with others. It actually came up in the Parque de Berlin, in the park next to my home, next to the German high school. It's the Berlin Park. There I got an idea, and it was talking with a friend from Wharton, from the MBA, who was getting into being a coach, and he was talking about our common friend who is still in investment banking, and he was saying, oh my God, I'm struggling so much. And this friend of us, he's so successful. He is making all this money. He has children, so he can bring them to a good school, and he can do all these things. And I'm having to start to reduce how I live my life because I'm starting. And then I said, define success, because maybe success is a little bit broader than that, no? And maybe you think he is successful and you envy him, but maybe if you put all the variables inside what we define as success, who knows who is more successful. Write down 4 words that would define success for you. And it can be success in life or success in a project. Like if you are going to do a project, what would you say, what are the measures to see that a project is successful? Just 4 words. And maybe for your candidates, you can also ask them like how they would define success. Normally, I would say this neighbor of mine is very successful. But maybe he would do the exercise, I would do the exercise, we choose different variables, and he might only do 30, and I might do 70, and that gives some motivation, no? some self-esteem of saying, I'm not that unsuccessful in what is really important, no? Compared to maybe if I'm always comparing, so maybe compared I'm not that unsuccessful, even to the investment banker, no? And that's one thing, to just somehow evaluate and get a little bit self-esteem. The other important one is to say, oh, in these 4 variables, actually this one is a really important one for me, and how am I doing? Maybe I should shift a little bit of my energy and focus. The one I'm doing a 9 or a 10 and I'm doing already great and I'm still investing in that variable. Maybe I should start shifting to another variable which I'm leaving a little bit behind. So it's like a measure of how you're doing. No? And the third objective would be that's what we are going to look at now. It's to make the project a little bit more global. So if I measure success in how do I measure it and what do I include in it, and in order to make it a little bit more global and just then compare to what we normally measure as successful. No? We see a doctor and we say, oh, he's successful, or he has lots of titles and he is successful. But let's broaden it and make it maybe a little bit more meaningful to it. Comfort, like also balance and having stability, no? Content. Okay, content, happiness, no? Yeah, but yeah, I agree.
Not necessarily happiness.
Yeah. Love. I call it kind of the compass of life, yeah, of evolution, no? And we could say that normally the north, no, it's like, okay, we are going in the direction of north, so we are finding our north, with the people use, no? And another thing that they normally use, which is interesting, is if I'm lost, which I was a while in my life, and then I went to India, and then it's kind of you orient yourself, you reorient. Okay, so sometimes you have to choose, but choose what unites yourself, no? Where you are more yourself. Then the next part would be, okay, now what do I do with all this learning? And then there comes the contribution. So this, suddenly you have an urge to say, I need to bring this learning outside and start to contribute. And you go from individual purpose to like a more universal purpose. And you start thinking even, how can I align my individual purpose with the universal purpose? And I think that's the only way really that your purpose or that your mission or that your project will work. If you go in the, sometimes we are struggling, no? Sometimes it seems like we are always going against the tide, no? Against like swimming and losing so much energy and nothing works. But ask yourself, is it really aligned what I'm trying to do with what the universe wants? The universe is in constant evolution. So probably we are here to evolve ourselves, to evolve in order to help others to evolve, so the universe evolves. So if our purpose, individual purpose, is aligned to this evolution, then probably it flows. It just starts happening. No? So the balance, I think, is important. And not moving ahead until you score high. No? And another point I would add is, but to have it at the same time inside you already, this project. So if you, with your candidates, if they think about their mission, about what they should be doing with their life, maybe they can already incorporate the contribution, the love or the flow, no? Even if they are still here and they are just trying to figure out how am I going to survive, have it already inside you, so in your project, because then it's probably actually going to happen faster, no? A friend of mine from India, he always used to say, I'm very rational, and I was actually, I went to India to open my heart more. And so he would always say, think big with your heart. And I think if we think big, all the little things that are inside, they happen by themselves. But we have too focused maybe sometimes on details and thinking little, no? So in India they always say that you think big, and especially shift, no, from your brain to your heart when you think and incorporate everything, no? And in that part also somehow simply be you, no? Like unify and try to be yourself wherever you are, whatever you are doing. And to that extent, I added towards simplicity. Sometimes very much the simple things are the ones that bring you closer to yourself. Well, I was telling Jorge that actually with me, myself, I started thinking, okay, it's too complicated. Everything is I'm complicating everything. Maybe if I simplify myself, everything becomes simpler. And I started to simplify Bettina. And I went from Bettina, people call me Betty or Bet, and then I went to B. And I was like, maybe I just need to be. And in order to be myself and simplify myself and also reduce ego and actually to be able to say I'm lost or to be able to say I have ego, it's the first step to be able to start reducing and simplifying yourself, no? And so another, like since I come from the financial sector, the idea is you can have lots of zeros in your account, but if you don't add a 1 in front of that 0, nothing matters. So you have to add yourself, your one self in front of all that to give it a meaning. And actually in the binary numbers, no? The 2 digits, 1, 0 in informatics, everything is 1, 0, information bits. Both are important. The nothing, the everything, no, the 1 and the 0. So we need the 1 in front, but we also need the zeros, no? Behind in order to make it happen. And in India, when you donate in a temple, you give 100 rupees. You always give 101. It's like the 1 that makes worth the whole 100. No?